Are you ready to transform your life from the inside out? Join Tasha Young on Elevation Nation, your guide to total wellness and personal evolution. You are about to discover powerful strategies for healing across 7 essential dimensions: physical vitality, emotional balance, mental clarity, financial freedom, social connection, sexual wellness, and intellectual growth. This is more than self-help. It's self-elevation. Watch Elevation Nation with Tasha Young, exclusively on Black Westchester Magazine, the news from the Black point of view. Your journey to wholeness starts now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on Elevation Nation. My name is Tasha Young, and I am your host. And we gather here to celebrate one another, to celebrate our culture, our common interests, and also to look at how we're dealing with life from a bunch of different perspectives. We look at our physical health. We look at how we are, handling our relationships with emotional wellness, our relationship to ourselves and others. We look at our mental health. Is our reality the same as everyone else's reality? Are we accepting of different perspectives? Are we tolerant of other people's lived experiences as their expertise? We're going to talk about financial health, and I'm so excited. We have a great, fabulous guest that's coming on from the IRS, and we know we're in tax filing season. So she's going to join us, and we're going to probably have to pre-record it to get all the content in, because if we wait weeks, we'll miss the deadline. So we'll probably be recording with her. So financial health, right? What is, I can't wait till we get into sexual health, because I am postmenopausal and there's a whole lot I want to talk about. Because our reproductive cycles are part of our health. How are we functioning in that way? And then social health. Most people know us on Black Westchester. We're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about civics. We're going to talk about how we're relating to one another as community. We added spiritual health. Last time we were here, AJ, we talked all about, our spiritual lives and really checking in and see how we're doing there. And then the last is our intellectual health, because I am amongst authors. So we got to talk about, what are you reading? What are you reading? What are you doing for your intellectual stimulation? So welcome. AJ, I'll pass it over to you.
Hey! I had my mic off because they have landscapers outside. I was trying not to get all that noise in the background. Welcome to another show. I'm here to support my sister. This is Black Westchester presents Elevation Nation, another strong program on the platform. We're trying to expand the platform. If you are watching this on YouTube, please make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and leave comments. If you're watching this we're simulcasting live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram, X, Twitter right now. So, share it with a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend, and that's it.
Yes. I love you, AJ. It's so good to see you.
Yes. Good
So
to be
good.
seen, as they said.
I know that's right. So how's you doing? How are you doing with your wellness stuff? I'm still kind of trying to keep the weight off.
So I'm doing good. Okay, so I don't have more weight loss to report, but I haven't gained anything. So I guess that's the good thing there. Um, I every now and then, and I'm learning not to beat myself up. So, like, I don't want to say fell off, but I haven't been as consistent in the last week or so. But I'm getting back and being refocused, and I can't beat myself up on what
Don't.
I used to be like, oh my god, I didn't do this today, I didn't do
Right.
that this. I'm not. I can't take back what I didn't do yesterday. All I can do is move from here forward. So I'm trying to keep that, so that's my mental health aspect of it, and
Yeah.
I'm keep working on it. So I mean, I want to lose another 50 pounds.
Wow, that's a lot.
But I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm not having any. My doctor at first was I was up to 340, 350. My doctor wanted me to have that surgery.
Right.
did that bariatric surgery where they take out part of your stomach and give you that
Yeah.
rat thing and all that. And I've read about that, and then there's the negatives about that, and sometimes that doesn't take, and sometimes you have all kinds of adverse reactions to that.
Right.
And I'm not with, if you cannot lose weight and that your doctor tells you that's what you need, then that's what you should do.
Right.
I'm the same with medication. If your numbers are extremely high and the doctor says the medication is going to help bring it down, utilize that to bring it down. But even both those cases, then you have to make the lifestyle choices, the changing your diet, the exercising, the
Boom.
all of that, and
Bam.
the medication. See, medication is something they create medication for you to be a lifelong customer.
Yeah, like they're like a drug pusher.
Right, right. It's legal. It's legalized drugs. It's legalized drugs. So I'm not really feeling that. So
Right.
I'm making efforts, but I cannot just take. I have my faith, and I know God got me, but my numbers were extremely high. I had extremely high numbers for decades. I just was abusing my body, but
Right.
where you can abuse your body.
Yeah.
So I needed the medications. I needed
Right.
the medical attention that I got, and I needed all that, and seeing the nutritionist and the dietitian and
Right.
everybody. But then you have to again make those moves. I changed to a partial plant based diet.
Yeah.
I still eat meat, but I don't a lot less.
Right.
I'm cautious about what I eat. A lot more fruits and vegetables and
Yep.
living stuff that comes from the ground. We're living beings, you know what I'm saying? So a lot more living stuff. And I'm seeing the effects of that. And, I'm trying to now incorporate the sea moss and all that other stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading about I'm learning as I go along. I'm reading about all those things. I'm trying to incorporate all those things. So, it's a journey, and it's not a one time thing. It's a consistent. It's a marathon.
That's
So,
right.
but if you make up your mind, the bottom line, I made up my mind. I want to live, and
Yep.
I don't know how many days I got left or how many years I got left, but however much time I have, I want to have. And I learned this from taking care of my mom before she passed. I want to have a quality of life during the full
Right.
of my time. So I'm doing what I can, and not perfect. Have my days, and come back to it. But just always getting back to it, even if you drop the ball a little bit. So, yeah.
Like everything you said times 100. I feel like people think consistency is doing the same thing the same way every day, where consistency could be some days you don't do it at all. Some days it's not happening, and then you get back up. Like that's consistency for me, because there was a time where psychologically I would lose the weight, or I would look the way I would want to look, and then I would stop the lifestyle. And then of course what happens is you get unhealthy, you get fat, you know so that was inconsistent.
And when I gain, I always gain more than I lost. When I
Yep.
go back, yeah, you always like wherever I started. If I gained that weight back, I was bigger than I was before I even started. I was like, oh no, that's not happening.
Yep. And that's even biblically based. Like once you cast out a demon, like this is the Bible. I'm not saying that weight loss is
Mm-hmm.
tantamount to like demons and angels or anything, but that's what the Bible says. Once you cast out whatever that thing is that you wanted to cast out, and you let it back in, it's like 7 times worse. So like for me, consistency is keeping on the journey on health. So I'm in the iteration where, of course, I did lose 25 pounds. A lot of it's in your mind and with the diet. And like you said, incorporate more raw food, incorporate more living food than the other food that's dead. Because when you do that, your body doesn't even want that other stuff. Like I can't make myself want McDonald's fries right now. And I was addicted. Like when I was really sick and I couldn't move that well, I used to order McDonald's fries on DoorDash.
Wow.
Just the fries.
Oh, see, that's then you paying what you paying in delivery and everything else is more than what the fries cost.
It was like $10 fries.
Yeah,
I used to do that. I used to DoorDash Carvel, um the Carvel, what do they call them? Avalanches or something like that.
hmm
So now that I'm doing more raw food and I'm finding sugar that's not refined sugar, like just dates or apples or, melon. I love to eat melon.
hmm
And it satisfies a lot of those cravings for things that just don't taste like food. Like there's a lot of food that is not food.
absolutely.
And we eat it like McDonald's chicken nuggets. We know that is not, there's no nutrition.
Well, they're not even the nut. Those are just compressed whatever. They're not even real chicken breasts. Like
Right.
I wanted to say
Right.
one thing. I wanted to say one thing too. What one of the biggest examples that people say when you talk about the plant based thing and eating healthy and everything, our grandparents and our great grandparents ate this food. You know what? But the food they ate was still healthier because it didn't have the
Yes.
preservatives and the hormones
Yes.
and all of that stuff in it. And if you go back far enough, a lot of our ancestors they were on farms, so they would get their vegetables and stuff, fruits straight from the ground. Like, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And even some of our fruits and vegetables, and don't get that twisted. You got to wash them off because those are injected with some stuff. And I'm starting to read about that. I was like, man, even the fruits and vegetables. So it's like, what our kids are getting now is full of hormones, is full of preservative, is full of chemicals, is full of all kinds of things to make it last or to make it bigger or whatever. Even eating chicken.
Right.
You go to them chicken, you go to them to Chinese food place. Some of them chicken wings, you'd be like, yo, ain't no chicken got no wing that big. With the like, well, how the wings get the.
Yeah.
So it's just like that with the things that they do to make them bigger, and so even when you are eating meat, you're still not the meat you're eating is not as healthy as the meat your ancestors ate.
Nothing is as healthy as what they eat.
Right. So
Nothing is.
I just want to use that as an example because
Yeah.
people always say, well, you know what, my great grandmother, and she lived to 99 and she drank and smoked and she ate. Yeah, but everything is different now.
Everything is different.
And they're doing things to food that is having adverse effects on our children. And there's a topic you want to talk about today, misogyny,
Yeah.
that goes into the attitude of misogyny in our leaders shows our kids how to treat the females that they come in contact with. It gives them an example. That's what you're feeding them. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're seeing.
Yeah.
And with the unhealthy food,
Yes.
that tying these two things in, it's messing up their mental health. On top of that, like I'm eating better and I feel clearer. Like
Absolutely.
I feel lighter, and I'm not even talking about the weight loss. I feel lighter. I feel clearer. I got a long way to go, but I'm cool. Like it's as long as it's the process and I keep seeing progress, I'm good.
Right.
Or like I said to you before, I didn't lose any, but I haven't gained it back. So at least I'm maintaining. That's the maintaining part. I used to get mad when the loss would stop. I'm like, I'm not losing no more, but I
Yeah.
didn't gain, and you have to get that. But all of these are examples, and all of these things that the children are dealing with, it is causing the issues that we're having in our community,
Absolutely.
and it's making it.
100%.
And when we look at the government and the things that are trying to be done, it's making it easier for them to be controlled and to go back to a place where they want to go back to. That's a whole other conversation, but we have to watch and monitor what we feed ourselves and
Absolutely.
food wise, what we're hearing,
Yes.
what we're watching.
Yes.
I have stopped. I've in my circle, and there's some toxic people that are cool people, but I've limited my interactions with them so I don't take on those spirits and I don't take on that energy.
That's right.
And you know what I'm saying. So like I'm clearer now, and I'm lighter now, and I stopped some of that. So many people call me and they go straight to voicemail now, and if it's important,
That's right.
they'll leave a message. I know that's not what you started to talk about, but I mean
I'm
that's
with it though.
that's that you have to you self responsibility in all of this stuff. Our politics, our eating, our diet, our spiritual intake, what we watch,
Yep.
the conversations we allow around us to take place. It's a person. I used to say when I was married before, sometimes my wife would be on that jazz. Like she just would be on that.
All that jazz.
Yeah, I'm trying to the clean word for it, but yeah,
I love it.
she'd
I
be on
love
that
it.
PS. And you know, I was at a point. I was like, yo, I knew she was on that earlier, and when she called me, I picked up the phone, and then I got mad at her for throwing my day off. Yo, I can't get mad at her for a decision I made. I knew what she was on, and I decided to answer that phone.
Fair
That was
enough.
a decision I made.
Fair enough.
So sometimes we have to make better decisions in everything we do, and every aspect of our lives. Before we start talking about what everybody else ain't doing, we got to do what we got to do. So, I mean, enough of that. I'm gonna let you get into the conversation you want to go into. So,
It's all relevant. It's all relevant. So going back to the young people and the food, we definitely do not have the same food that we ate when we were younger, that our parents ate. Literally farm to table is like even more expensive than regular food. And that's like what our grandparents pretty much grew up on. Not to mention, we moved a lot more. Like sometimes I just might walk to get my dinner because, like I said, when I was immobile, I was having some real physical health issues and I couldn't move around well. And I would get everything ordered in. But people are doing that well. People are just getting stuff ordered in. We can walk to get our dinner and walk back home. Even that will help with food digestion, will help with, mobility. And we're not even doing that. And even walking clears your head, so eating better, more vegetables, more raw, walking. When we notice that our lifestyle does not include those kind of things, you want to notice that. You want to be like, hey, I don't even like walk anywhere. Or like, hey, let me maybe just try. Like, I started with a little bit more, I don't know, filling the vegetable. You know what I mean? That's how I started. And I was still eating garbage. And I still sometimes do, but it's that consistency. I'm way better than I was last year. Way better. And another thing that I have gotten used to is don't eat for taste as much as you eat for medicine. Because literally, food is your medicine. And with that whole pharmaceutical thing, they will give us medication until we're literally in our coffin. They'll give us medication and they will give us surgery. And each time you go under, you're taking your life into someone else's hands. And even with the prescriptions. So, with the help of your doctor team, if you are able to reduce the amount of medication and replace that with diet and exercise, I would recommend that. My doctor wants to put me on a diabetes medication. I lost 25 pounds. She's like, okay, I'm going to recommend 30 minutes of exercise a day, 5 days a week. I said, okay. When's the last time you even heard a doctor say an apple a day?
because the rest of that keeps the doctor away. That's a business for them too. They want you to. They need you to keep coming back. That's what they do. Like
They don't want you to stay away.
right. That's what That's what that's
When
about.
we were growing up, the doctors used to say that. They used to say that.
I don't know if doctors say. I don't know who used to say it. I know it was just a saying. I don't
The
know if a
apple,
doctor
an
ever
apple
told
a
me
day
that. Yeah.
keep. It was a commercial. An
Oh
apple
yeah.
a day keeps the doctor away.
Right. But I don't
Have
know.
you tried
I
your?
don't know. I don't think my doctor ever told me that because he wasn't trying to get me to stay away. He was telling me when the next time I need to be there. So
Maybe my child doctor.
right. But I mean, it was a song something we heard in school and something we
Yeah,
said, adults said, and we repeated. Yeah.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
so the difference is, so adults said it and we repeated it. We're not saying it, so how do we expect kids to repeat it?
We gotta say
So
it.
so
And
so, there's that example again for the going to the youth.
yeah,
They're not going to learn this stuff. You knew it because adults kept saying it. There was a commercial, then you kept saying it. If we're not saying it and there's no commercials and there's no doctor saying it, how do you expect kids to say it? So,
yeah.
they can't learn, they're not going to learn themselves.
Right. And you got to get their attention because a lot of their attention is online. Roblox is like this game that my granddaughter always wants to be on that I'm trying to investigate because I've heard things. I've heard things. Um, and, the kids are being socialized more online than they are, friend groups are the friends online. Of course, parents, we lose more and more influence as they get older, but they're being influenced heavily online. And unless we are, really aware, and I know a lot of us use the devices as our babysitters, but we really have to be aware of what they're looking at online. Because let me tell you, there's more dangers in cybersecurity, especially under the current like law and order regimes that we're all experiencing. And cyber surveillance is going to ramp up. And if your child is online searching something, questionable, sending images or video that could be sexting or child pornography, you can be held liable for that because they don't pay the bill in the house. You do.
So,
So, yeah.
so even what we're doing now, streaming live through social
Hmm.
media, um, your phone
Hmm.
hears and records. I don't know records, but everything you say and do. So, if you ever notice, you'll see a certain ad on your
Oh,
computer
yeah.
of and you might be thinking of like Wendy Nuggets, like from Wendy's or
The
something.
thinking part is what's scaring me because
Right,
sometimes you just think it and it
right,
comes up
right.
on your phone.
And it's like it knows what you want to see. So in that same aspect, it hears everything with your children. It knows how to target your children. It knows what to send to your children.
Yep.
So which bothers me going further, and this is a different subject, but
Yeah.
it's something I want to do a show on the online betting.
Oh, yeah. Talk about it.
So on betting itself is already a very addictive thing that a lot of people have problems with. But you
Uh-huh.
but you had to go somewhere to place the bet. Now you've taken the most addictive behavior and put it in the most addictive device. And you can just be sitting there, you got adults sitting at home, and like you can't just bet on the game. You can bet on what the next play is going to be, who the next
Yeah.
scorer is going to be, who's going to score the next like it's crazy. And the money is going to what's that?
I'm trying to do something. Sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. So the teams are getting money from this.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to complain. They're making money. You can't watch a game now. I watched the Knick game, and at the end of the quarter, I get the odds, the updated odds on who's going to win the next quarter or who's going to win the game. You know what I'm saying? So you can
Hmm.
place your bet right there. Like first
Right.
quarter's over, you're getting the odds for the third quarter. You know what I'm saying? You're getting the odds on who's going to win, and it's just like, yo, it's dangerous because they also found a way you have to be over 18 or 21 to do it. But I was reading about how they found a way putting it in some kind of game where you pay for coins like a game, but you're still betting and there's money involved. But because of that, it gets outside of that 18 and over thing, so younger people can do it. It's like targeting younger
Video
people.
game.
Huh?
It's a video game.
but it's betting using video game ish to bet and get
Mhm.
around the gambling thing. I just saw something on this. I have to, it made me want to investigate it more. But again, monitoring what our kids are, you know, about 10 years ago, I was in Georgia, 11 years ago, a little longer than that. A friend of mine, church member, female I knew, she was talking about her daughter. She called me to tell me something. And she's like, yo, her daughter had to do a report on Martin Luther King. She typed in, I don't know if she typed in the Martin Luther King or MLK or whatever. A site came up, MLK.com or whatever like that, and she clicked on it. It was a white supremacist site. It was all kinds of negative, hateful, racist stuff. And it was like, this is her 10-year-old daughter. She was looking for Martin Luther King online, and the stuff that she was exposed to that traumatized her, was because they. So anyway, you got to monitor even when your kids are doing research and when they're doing the computer stuff. You should be as involved as you can be involved, and we lost some of that because it keeps them quiet.
Yeah, like I said, we
Like,
use it as a babysitter.
right? They'd be like, "Oh, the kids be talking to you and doing stuff. Hey, go play that game on and leave me alone." And then you be on the phone. You know what I'm saying? And you be telling, like, we handing our kids' minds over to them. You are literally handing your kid's mind over to them. And
Mhm.
then when the results come, then you complain like, I can't believe, how did they get this way, or what are they thinking? You've handed your you've handed the development of your kid's mind over to these addictive
Yeah.
negative devices. So I'm sorry. That was well off the track, but I'm just.
So I want to talk about monitoring what our children are watching online. Hi, Darlene. Great to see you too. Um, because there is a film on Netflix called Adolescence, and it talks about young people 13, 12, 13, 14 years old. And spoiler alert, I'm talking about the short limited series on Netflix called Adolescence, and it talks about teen bullying online. It talks about a culture of misogyny, back to the word we were talking about. And just so I can give people a definition, when we say misogyny, we are talking about the hatred of, contempt for, or prejudice against women or girls, often manifested in behaviors like discrimination, harassment, or violence. It's a form of sexism that can perpetuate unequal social roles and power dynamics. So we're talking about misogyny at the ages of 12 and 13 years old. So this is girls, and in the movie, spoiler alert. So if you don't want to be spoiled about adolescence on Netflix, please click off. Please click off. This is a British limited series, and the 13-year-old boy kills his classmate. And it started from being online. He was online in this culture, they call it the incels, which is a culture for boys, um, and very, very young men. And it creates the culture that women and girls are inferior, should be subjected to any of the wills of boys and men. That rejection can be met with violence, which is particularly dangerous, because when we see where we've come in the women's movement, especially this latest iteration. So Me Too, we had a few years back, but recently, women and trans people were really making headway, and we were finding more places that are safe. We were finding more places where we were able to express ourselves the way we saw fit without being subjugated into sexual objects. We saw, going back to being a sexual object, when we see the Supreme Court overthrow Roe. That's particularly concerning because women, unless we could control our when we start families, like Planned Parenthood, that's why they call it Planned Parenthood, unless young people and women are able to control when we start families, we're very easily controlled, very easily subjugated. So when we saw Roe get overturned, a lot of us were really concerned about that. So much so in New York, we passed the Equal Rights Amendment. So we do have protections based on sex and gender for healthcare.
Mhm.
But nationally, we do not have that. And women are dying. Women are dying in Georgia for having miscarriages, for not having the procedure that expels the fecal material after a miscarriage that can become toxic, and women are dying in states that have banned safe legal abortion. So going back to the youth and the children in this film, the boy does kill his classmate, and it's
Oh, here's the
because
trailer. If you wanted to show the trailer.
oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm blabbering on. Yeah, please blow it up.
Oh, sorry.
Personally! Personally! What are you looking for? You're making a big mistake. He's only a kid.
Dad, I haven't done anything.
He's a good kid. Jamie, I want you to listen carefully.
What's going on?
I'm going to start off with asking you.
Do you know a girl called Katie Leonard? Yeah? Describe each other as friends then.
Is she dead then?
Why would you ask her?
So do you think it would be okay if we speak about it? I haven't done anything. You're a good dad, a great dad.
He hasn't been found guilty. He's been accused. What have you done?
Banged by a girl, you sausage.
You're not getting it.
What am I not getting?
Dad, you're not reading what they're doing. It's a call to action by the manosphere. 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. You must trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way.
We've done nothing wrong, have we? Hey!
Look at me now!
It's crazy what your brain tells you to do when you're a kid.
Thank you, AJ.
Yeah, so let me turn that off so don't turn back on. Okay. So you were talking about misogyny, and I looked up some stuff, especially where it comes to misogyny against women and what effect that they give our young boys. And I read it to you, and I just want to read that a little piece of that now. So exposure to misogyny or the hatred and discrimination against women can normalize disrespectful and harmful attitudes and behaviors in young boys, potentially leading them to view women as inferior and reinforcing gender stereotypes. When boys witness or are exposed to misogynistic attitudes and behavior, they may come to see such actions as acceptable or even expected, and that makes it harder to challenge them later in life. So the dangerous, the danger. See, so this is Women's History Month, and I say the same thing for Black History Month. the danger of not teaching our history. So I always said the danger of not teaching Black history is not only detrimental to Black kids, but when white kids don't see our true history and see that our history started as slavery, when white people owned Black people, that's what that is. That's the image that they get, and they have this superiority complex, whether they want to or not, like
Right.
and unattended, because they're not taught the true greatness of Black people. When you don't have women history, and you have to go beyond, I know every year we talk about Harriet Tubman freeing the slaves, and talk Rosa Parks sat on the bus, but when you talk about true women history and you teach that, you not only inspire young ladies to see stuff that they can
Right.
be, you inspire the young boys who are going to be men, and the treatment of how they see women. You got to figure in school ages, and very young, your mind is developing. All of these things that you're taking in somewhat determine who you will be.
Yes.
And how you will act as an adult, and how you will see the world.
That's right.
We talked to a lot of older white men from the South.
Yes.
The Confederate flag was something all their ancestors flew. The behavior was the way their ancestors they saw this stuff. So when they grew up, they didn't see nothing wrong with that. Did you purposely take yourself off the screen, or did you do it on purpose? Or
I didn't think I did. I'm sorry. I didn't think I did.
No. So we have to keep that in mind. Think about a lot of who you are was determined by your parents' influence, a positive teacher influence,
Right.
maybe the teachers in Sunday school or whatever youth groups you belong to. A lot of with your friends, who their perception comes from their parents. So you've been over their house and you've been exposed to their parents. A lot of that is what makes up who you are and how you see the world now. So if you never see Black people, or you never see women as anything other than inferior and everything, you're going to take as good of a person as you would like to believe you are. Some of that unconsciousness is in you, whether you understand it or not. So that's the dangerous. The reason I want to say this is because I think it's important for a man to say what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So women say this all the time, and it's like, oh, there you go, bitching about that shit again.
Right.
But you need to see strong Black men say that too. Like, our young men need to see strong Black men say this. So,
oh my gosh, you're making me feel so good. Like, I saw a post on Instagram, and the guy was like, I love women. He was like, that's how I knew I was gay. Because there's so many times heterosexual men or heteronormative men have such terrible things to say about women, and the gay guys, I never have felt unsafe around a gay man, ever. I've never felt unsafe.
Well, you never felt unsafe around me either, and I ain't gay. So
no.
I just want to put that out.
I've never felt unsafe around you.
Yeah, no, I want to put that out there while we're on screen together.
Well, that's like saying there's good white people. We know there's good white people. We don't have to say that. We know that. But I've never felt unsafe around a gay man, and I've never felt unsafe around a trans person, any gender. But the more men like you speak to men like you, the more inclusive our stories are, is what I'm trying to say. Right. Heteronormative men, heterosexual men, the more that you speak the way you just did, the safer the world becomes for women and girls. That's what I was trying to say.
So we lose and we misinterpret. Men are the protectors of the world. All these things. One thing Damon and I used to say, especially Damon, when we started Black Westchester, and it would be like all of these rallies and stuff, it would be a lot of women. black and white and other colored women, and there was no men. Like if the cops wanted to act a certain way or something, there was no pushback from where were the black men to stand with our sisters that were out there on the front or the forefront. You know, you can't in the Bible. Everybody gets to that point that women are supposed to submit to their husband, but they lose the part as he submits to Christ.
Right.
And it's like, but you have to. When they say respect, you have to earn respect to get respect. You have to give women a reason to see you as that. Like I always say, like kids' attitude towards law enforcement. What does justice look like to a child who's only seen people that look like him in his age group killed, beat, and abused by police and never go to jail for it? What does justice look like to them?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So the same thing with any other treatment of people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What
does safety look like for women?
For a young girl, what does that look like?
Girls.
And she becomes a woman. If she's never seen a real man, have her back all her life, how can you expect her to feel some kind of way about men? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just keeping it real. Like,
I wonder about that though, because
my daughter, I wasn't the biggest, baddest dude in the world, but she never had to feel unprotected around me. You know what I'm saying? My younger sister and my younger female cousins, I don't think they ever felt unprotected around me. You understand what I'm saying? Like they had examples, but we had examples. My father was that dude. You know what I'm saying? And some of my uncles was those dudes. Like that was the example I had. That was the example of manhood for me. So
yeah.
But so she's had other examples outside of me too. So my daughter at least has seen what real men look like.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And my sister has a very good, healthy marriage because my father was a real good example of what a real black man is, and she's married, going on 20, almost 25 years now.
Even in this conversation, we're ending Women's History Month, and we are talking about boys being socialized to be violent against girls because we are in a culture that is basically anti-women and girls. So the conversation is, I'm shifting it on purpose back to, acknowledging that we have a problem, in society, and that it lies with, just like there's a lot of work that has to be done with people who identify as white and want to remain supreme. There's a lot of work that needs to be done with men that want to be supreme over women, and that feel like that they have a right to our bodies, that feel like they have a right to whether or not we reject them. Like, everybody has a right to say how they want their life to be and who they want to be in their life. And I'm not condoning bullying, because in the film, she was like calling him names, you know what I mean? And that is not right, ever. It's never right. His reaction was to being rejected. And even when the young boy said, 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men, we have to trick them. That's what he said. A little boy, we have to trick them.
And that's learned behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the example I was given, I was just saying, and then when you get to be a man, and then you don't get this you don't get treated the way you think you should be treated. How can you expect a young girl who's never seen that and had that example treat you that way? You know what I'm saying? Like, she's never had the example. We need more examples of that. Like me speaking up, we need more examples of young sisters seeing that, and our young brothers need to see that, so they have an example of what to be. You know what I'm saying?
I think I do know what you're saying, and I'm wondering about I'm wondering if there's a way to look at the female predicament without its relationship to examples from men. Like, I feel like this is what I would like to see. I would like to see us look at safety for women and girls as like a broad topic, because I just feel like saying, okay, we need more examples of good men. Yes, I believe that is so. And I also believe that a lot of the answer lies in just letting women be who they want to be, the way they want to be it, and not in relationship to men.
So can I clarify one thing? So
yeah, thank you. Yeah.
The example, so to understand, and I hear what you're saying, and I'm not trying to mansplain anything.
Yeah, no, I don't feel like you are.
But just like we tell white people
Mm-hmm.
who want to be our allies and stuff, some of the best things they can do is when they see racist white people acting, they speak up and be like, that is wrong. You understand what I'm saying? In this situation, we need men, and that's why I was using that example, to speak up when they see that situation and speak out against it. That is wrong.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely,
that's how we go, and the way we tell white people as far as racism and stuff like that. That's one example.
Right.
How we go to conquering this attitude and spirit that exists out there, that is misogyny or whatever other words you want to use for it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those men are not going to hear it until it comes from other men who check them, that are their peers. And unfortunately, that shouldn't be the way, because it shouldn't be that way. But when we sit by and don't say anything, it's like we're co-signing the situation.
Absolutely. It's like you're complicit.
And right, and so you're complicit. And those are the examples as far as men is concerned that I wanted to bring out and I wanted to say. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
I agree, and I totally understand. Like, say the social construct, because I also want to call things what they are. This is made up. But there's a social construct around virginity.
Okay.
And it mostly applies to girls. And it's a mechanism within patriarchy, which is the system that we live under, where like girls and women are categorized as, those worthy of certain, benefits from society and those not worthy of those benefits based on when she has decided to engage in sexual activity. I don't see the same for boys. Like, boys are not measured based on like what benefits they get in society on whether or not they're a virgin, Well,
they looked at differently if they have the appearance of they're getting it from multiple women. They've been doing it. They're looked at, and I hate to say even revered by their peers because they're a player, because they're a lover, because they're whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that also makes those who look up to them want to be that, leading to that we have to trick them material so you can, have that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we can call this a double standard, and that is what it is, but it's also something that we're all a party to. You know what I mean? We all participate in this categorization of who is deserving of respect based on a high body count for men and a low body count for women. And these are the kind of things that, like, if we can unlearn that, first of all, we made them up, like somebody made it up. This is not like when somebody's body decomposes, like there's nothing going to say that, okay, that person had that many bodies. Like, that's not a real thing. But in our society, talking about social elevation and social health, we have made this a thing, and it puts people in danger. It puts boys who don't have a high body count in danger, like boys who maybe, are more discriminate with their body. I met a brother, this beautiful man. He was like, I'm not a hoe. I was like, I know that's right. Proudly. He was like, I don't hold my body around. But and if that was more normalized, if our sexual health was more normalized, where men can also be discriminate, they don't have to have a high body count, to be considered the man, you know? And if a girl is, responsible with her body and she, has a high body count, is she any less worthy of safety and respect because of that? Those are the kind of things I really want to unpack with people and call out when, we're just doing things that are made up that really harm people.
No matter what your body count is, no matter how promiscuous you it is, no man has the right to put his hands and sexually violate or take from a woman which she does not want him to have. I don't care if she works on 42nd Street. I don't care if she done slept with everybody at your job, your church, your whole family, whatever, the whole neighborhood. That does not give you the right to take it. That doesn't give you the right to smack her in the ass when she walks by. That doesn't give you the right to grab her breasts or whatever because it looks like it's hanging out and she wears loose clothes. That doesn't give you the right. Compliments are one thing, but then there's uncomfortableness when you're saying certain things that make women uncomfortable, and it never gives you the right to do that.
Nobody has the right to anyone else's body.
Right. So I'm just saying, because that's what it's looked at. Like, I saw a TV show and somebody went missing. I think it was the show Found. And the person in there said, she's not worthy of me. She's a prostitute. She's not worthy of us spending our efforts to find her.
Yeah.
No, she's a daughter. She's a person. She is worthy of the same law enforcement or whatever activities you give to whoever else to find her. She was a child. You know what I'm saying? And or a young person. So there's that attitude that, and you if we get back to in all of this, not just this, treating people how we want to be treated.
It's basic, right?
And every religion, there's some form of that written in their papers.
That's right.
Treating someone how you want to be treated. It's one of the greatest commandments. If you look at the 10 Commandments, when I asked Jesus what the greatest commandment is, love your God, have no other gods. And second to that, treat your brother as you want to be treated. If you observe that, you can't violate any of the other commandments.
Right.
Thou shalt not steal. You don't steal from somebody that you don't want. If you treat them the way you want to, you don't covet your neighbor's wife. You don't kill nobody. You don't do none of the other commandments if you treat other people how you treat. So if we can get back to that, regardless of what religion you are, what your ideology is, what your makeup, what your sexual preference, what your pronoun is,
right?
If we treat everyone the way we want to be treated.
Yeah, we call it the golden rule.
Right. It would eliminate all of that. And that's biblical and it's just spiritual and it's common sense, it's karma. It crosses all of those things. So
how did we get so far away? That's what I'm trying to say. It's like these social constructs, things we made up on who deserves life, who doesn't, who deserves respect, who doesn't. Like, it's all bullshit.
Like, and this is going to get totally off. I have a we
don't want to get demonetized. It's malarkey.
We live in a hypocritical society.
Mm-hmm.
So the people in charge, the GOP, they claim to be the free speech people. Like, you can say whatever, whatever. But they're going after journalists and anybody who says anything against them.
Mm-hmm.
But they think they should have free speech.
Right.
But you shouldn't have free speech to say anything about them.
Right.
Like, that's the world we live in, though. Like,
right.
That's the world we live in.
Come on, son.
And it's just like, yo, it's I mean, the example of, I don't know what this man did and what he didn't do, what he's been accused of, talking about the current president, what he's been accused of from various women, what he whatever,
Been convicted.
right, convicted of. This is now the
Right.
leader of the
Was right.
free world, and you know, pardoning certain people, and this is the behavior. This is the lead. Like that's the example of supposed manhood for kids, for a lot of kids, not all kids. That's what they see. This man is. He talked about grabbing them by the whatchamacallit. He talked about all of this. He told you he was about that life, and he got elected, and he's doing those things he said he was going to do, and kids see that, like, okay, but yo, he's real. He's keeping it real. Like he's doing, and you want to emulate leaders that are in power, that whatever, and that's the example we have from the top. So how do we combat that? Everything has to start in our homes. And so the traditional family may not be the mother, father, children sometimes. Sometimes the traditional family is mother, grandmother, daughter. Sometimes you got several uncles, because we're living in a society where people can't afford houses, can't afford their own places. So one relative has a big house, you got aunts and uncles living there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the family. At whatever form, that's the family. Your older brothers and sisters sometimes. So that's the family. It has to start at home. No matter what is out there, it has to start at home. We say train a kid right, and that whole thing in the Bible. If you like, yeah, I went astray as a teen. I went fuck, but I had roots.
Right.
So the prodigal son was able to come back home because he had roots.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Like he had
Yeah.
roots to come back to. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, we have to do that at home. We have to be those examples with some of the things I said. We have to teach that. And we need to teach our young girls from a very young age. I always told my daughter that she was a princess.
Yes.
And daddy was a king. And that record Down with the King came out, and she's down with the king. And any person who didn't treat her like the black princess that she was, that was not worthy of her time. And that's what I told her. She heard stuff like that coming up. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And she's very successful and very whatever. But she heard those things from her father. Mm-hmm. My sister heard those things from her father.
Right.
My mother taught my sister certain things, like, and even with you have the right to do whatever. You have the right to wear whatever. Mm-hmm. You have the right to go out to those places. But you have to understand, just like you have the right to say whatever, you have to understand some of the things that for every action there's a reaction. What some of the reactions will be if you do that. Not saying don't do that. Not saying don't wear the short skirt.
Right.
Not saying don't wear the tight stuff. But you do have to be honest with yourself that it is going to breed a certain response sometimes from certain people, warranted or not. That doesn't mean you need to be like Muslim women. You need to be 3/4 of cloth, never showing your stuff off, like Meth said, and like people have to do in other countries. That you have to, and if you're not like that, you should be yelled at, treated, grabbed up.
Well, they get assaulted also.
Right. No, they absolutely do. But I'm just saying, like the example of if she didn't go out the house that way is bullshit. Even if
it definitely is. It definitely is.
Even if she did go out the house that way, even if she didn't have a mother or a father or a grandmother or someone to teach her better, even if she thought that was okay and that's how she felt comfortable, she deserves not to be raped, abused, grabbed on, touched, talked a certain way too. She deserves that. And that's that treating, think about how you would feel if someone treated your mother or your daughter or your sister that way. That person that is dressed like, she's someone's mother. I mean, someone's daughter, someone's sister. You understand what I'm saying? So
yeah. And another thing that came up in the film is there was like the victim is like nameless. You know what I mean? She's Katie. Spoiler alert for adolescence again. Her name is Katie. But it's all about, how the family kind of responds to this heinous act that their son committed. And it spoke about the culture that we have now with these like true crime documentaries. Like, we hear a lot about the perpetrator. We hear a lot about the people that commit the crimes. The victims kind of go, they're not always remembered. They're not always the highlight of the show.
They're dehumanized.
Thank you.
We started Black Westchester because of how Black people were
That's right.
in the media.
That's right.
When there is a Kenneth Chamberlain Sr., when
right.
there is a Jarrell Garris, when there is fill in any name of someone,
right.
a person that's been killed by the police. What Black Westchester tries to do is humanize that person,
right?
Because he's not just a black mentally ill individual. His name is Jarrell Garris.
That's right.
He's a father. He's a son. He's a brother. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
A story. I'm sorry to get off, but
no.
When he died, his organs went to save 3 or 4 people. Okay. We never heard that. He was
right.
just a mentally ill dude that ate some fruit, and got killed. So we it's our responsibility, us who do this.
That's right. That's right.
I don't have an MSNBC platform or ABC, NBC, CBS, but for the whatever platform I have, it's up for us. We have to humanize the victim. Instead of calling him the victim, it's Jarrell Garris, it's Kenneth Chamberlain Sr., it's whatever the person's name is.
That's right.
Raynette Turner. It's you, and on and on and on.
That's right.
And the first thing the media does, and movies and TVs and documentaries are an extension of the media, it's dehumanizing the person, especially if they're Black or brown.
Yep.
Or especially if they're from a marginalized community.
Yep.
It almost justified. I went to see Tamika Mallory Saturday with her book.
Oh, yes. Talk about it.
So, but the thing I want to talk about that she said, when they went, she was there she was in Kentucky for Breonna Taylor. They asked her to come through, and represent that, because that had gone a couple of months and had not got national attention. When they were packed and get ready to leave to go back to New York, the footage of George Floyd came out. She said, long story short, she said when she went to sleep, people were outraged about what happened to him. She said when she woke up, all the narratives of he was on drugs, that he was mentally ill, that he had a criminal past, that he was passing fake money, and all the narratives were out the next day. It was no longer about this young man whose life was taken because a police officer decided to be, if he's guilty, he deserved to go to jail, go to court, and get tried and have his day in court. But that officer played judge, jury, and executioner right there on the street. That outrage that was there that night, it continued, but the next day they came with all the narratives. Is what I'm trying to do. The example I can say. So that's what they do. The narratives, they almost try to make it excusable. Like nobody deserves this, but he was on drugs. But he was
That's why platforms like this are so important, right? Because the corporate media, they just push a button, and we just went through this with Jamal Bowman. When there's a coordinated media strike, that's what it looks like. It bombards you. They were running commercials on the Nigerian movie channel, for goodness sake. I was like, wow. There were commercials everywhere.
YouTube.
Everywhere. So that media bombardment from corporate media, from media interests that don't care about our lives, that won't tell, fair and unbiased reporting, that won't do that. We know when they're active because it will be a bombardment, because they're very well resourced. They're very well resourced, and that's why it took a global pandemic, and for all of us seeing it and taking it to the streets to even get what appeared to be justice for George Floyd, because in actuality, and we'll do this on another show because I have other stats to talk about tonight, but when you look at the stats for policing, it got worse. More arrests, more violence. Like the police, I was looking.
Locally, we had 2 people, black men, killed by the police in New Rochelle after George Floyd. One the week after, and then Jarrell Garrett. So, like, George Floyd was supposed to be like the standard, like, the Bible BC, before Christ, and AD. That was supposed to be the minute, criminal justice was whatever. You know what I'm saying? We've had 2 in the city of New Rochelle locally since George Floyd. So I'm just like, putting that in concept because we are Black Westchester and you always bring it local. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if we were further to break down the stats, we would show you that a lot of what we fought for legislatively, budget-wise, remember Cuomo with the mandate to reallocate budget, none of that happened. None of it happened. And when they did reallocate it, it wasn't toward interests of community policing or training. It was probably to surveillance and weaponry. But, we can come back with those stats. So I just want to talk a little bit about the patriarchy, as I mentioned before, these systems that we all have created that socially we all understand to be, factual, but they're actually not. They're made up. So patriarchy is one of those with the systems. And I want to talk a little bit. You talked about how like heteronormative men can really help and not be complicit. I want to talk about how women actually uphold it. Women also uphold, violence against other women. And it's called a patriarchal bargain. It's a bargain that women make. And it's a trade-off where women may follow traditional gender roles. So, like you might see, and I fall into this category. So I'm just talking, I'm not judging anyone. You might see women dressing more modest now in fashion. There's more covering up, there's more loose clothing, maybe close to like how we were in the 80s and the 90s, looser clothing. Because in the 70s, baby, we had our midriffs out. We just discovered birth control.
So from a man's perspective, don't get it twisted. The fully covered and all, that's sexy too. Don't get it right. Like, you don't have to show me everything to be sexy. Like that if done right, that is very sexy. So I just want to be straight up, real talk from a man, like,
Okay.
Yeah. You can cover up. You can wear the loose gathering stuff and be sexy. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Men who like women, whether we're covered up or not. So like that's what you will see happening in fashion, right? Because we know that we are actually in more danger now. We are in more danger under this administration without having protections for how and when we start families, without having protections against misogyny. We will start, dressing more modestly. So that's how, in a way, we could uphold the patriarchal bargain. So the women who are going to still be slutty, they're actually resisting. They would be the resistors, as far as women, the women who don't like kind of adhere to, okay, let me just dress more modestly. Let me just, protect myself with my dress. Those women are like our revolutionaries, if you will, in like women being safe and just being themselves. They're not going to cover up. They're not going to adhere to traditional gender roles, or they might be non-binary. Like there's some women that are growing their beards and whatnot, and they're like, I'm just a woman with a beard, because they, whatever. So women who are not following traditional gender roles, they are not taking part in this patriarchal bargain. Women who are taking part of the patriarchal bargain are supporting practices that limit women's opportunities. So these women that are okay with, DEI being rolled back, which has a lot to do with women being able to participate equally professionally and in school, and women's history is being erased. Women's contribution in the military is being erased. So women who support this, they're participating in the patriarchal bargain. They are participating in it. So all these women of the party that says it's okay to roll back DEI, they are participating in a patriarchal bargain that oppresses other women. And women who enforce these norms on other women. So the women who are like, cover up, baby, or, keep it. I used to be told, keep a quarter between your knees. Keep your legs closed, are participating in this idea that certain women deserve protection and respect and other women don't, or judge women who don't comply. So I'm looking at the woman with the beard. I'm like, why don't you cut your beard? Why don't you shave your underarms? That is an example of the patriarchal bargain. So they make this bargain to gain protection, financial security, which is a big thing. I even have a notion that a lot of women wouldn't even be married if these systems weren't set up, that you have to have some kind of legal relationship with the man who has more access to resources because of malehood, that a lot of women wouldn't even get married. But, the marriage is a legal contract. We talked about the coverture laws. There are benefits that women have by their proximity to men financially. So women might oppress other women for financial security, social acceptance, you know about the pick-me's, right? So there is a social acceptance to being chosen by a man. They might uphold the patriarchal bargain for that, or power within the existing system rather than challenging it. Instead of fighting the entire structure, they find ways to maximize their individual advantages within it. Sounds like The Magical Negro. Did you see that movie on Amazon?
Yes, I did.
Right. So it's like that with women, though. So
Okay.
they'll find a way to appease, patriarchy and appease, the dominant gender, which is men, so they could seek individual advantages within it, right? Sometimes at the expense of other women, or broader gender equality. So here are some real world examples. Pressuring other women to marry by a certain age and potentially compromise on education or career goals. Oh, you don't want to be, don't be too smart. You don't want to be an astronaut. You'll never find a husband. Men don't like women like that. Monitoring and reporting other women's behavior to protect family honor and community standing. And I did this to my daughter. I said, when you leave that house, you're carrying my name. And that was kind of like her reminder, don't be out there, embarrassing me. And I might still say it. So again, I'm not judging.
Hey, my mother said that to me too.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm not judging. I'm just saying we might just be upholding
that to her son and daughter. Yes,
we might just be upholding it, but maybe not. Expressing disappointment at the birth of a daughter. That upholds oppression against women. Enforcing household hierarchies and rules. So when I was growing up, we had to fix the plates for the men. Or you might hear about the big piece of chicken goes to dad. Like stuff like that. But I kind of understand that if he was the only one working, which is also like, that's my own programming, because if the woman's at home taking care of kids in household, she's working. But like we're conditioned, like if he's the only one working, so he gets the biggest piece of chicken, even though she was also working all day. So what do we do? What do we do instead of uphold oppression against women? We stand by women who challenge gender norms or choose non-traditional life paths. So we stand by, the cat ladies, Donald Trump. We stand by the single cat ladies. We stand by them. We stand by the women who choose not to have children or not to be married. We believe women when they describe difficult experiences. We believe them. We listen. We don't judge. We don't advise them on what they could have done differently. We listen. We listen and we believe them. We question portrayals of ideal women in media and literature, the perfect woman. we question that. There's no there's no perfect man, there's no perfect woman. Everybody's beautiful and made in the Lord's image. We recognize our own biases and deeply ingrained beliefs, and we remember that our lack of support for each other serves the patriarchy. So I just wanted to bring that in because women can also do it. We do it to one another. We do the mean girl thing. And yeah, so I think we talked about this enough, but I love you so much, and I'm learning to love myself, and I'm learning to put up really good boundaries, and that's also a celebration of being a woman. But I will say it comes later in age. It comes later in age because when you are in reproductive age and or married and or seeking to get married, because of these structures, you might not really come to the place where I love my mistakes. I love the differences in me. Like, I don't ever have to try to be like anybody else. I don't ever care what anybody else says about me. Like, I think I was there like in my 20s, and then like from the like 30s to the 50s, I was in some kind of like, I want to be accepted by society thing. And now I'm out of that thing. And it feels good.
When you get close to 50 and beyond, that I don't give a fuck switch starts different. That like I just get like I get more and more theirs to like like my mother used to say something to people all the time. You'll be mad till you get glad again. You mad at me? You'll be mad till you get glad again.
You'll be mad till you get glad again.
Yeah, what that ain't that just just because you got something going on that ain't gotta stress me out. I'm like, yo, that's not worth my blood pressure rising. That's not worth none of that. It's not. Like, you just get to that point. You see the old men. You see old. This way you see old men, old black men. They say anything come out their mouth because they like they just don't care. They don't care about the norms. They don't care about. Man, I don't care about all that no more. Like, I'm too old for that. Like, I'm just. Yeah.
It feels good. It's so freeing. It's so freeing. So, listen, guys, we're going to have Yolanda Durant. She is our local IRS specialist. She's going to come on. We're going to give you everything we can before April 15th. We're going to give you everything we can from the IRS before April 15th. We want you to have your financial house in order. We want you to understand what's going on with the federal agencies, with all the layoffs, and, when you're going to get your refund, how to get your refund, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. And happy Women's History Month. Thank you, AJ, for having this discussion with me on, it's another take on Women's History Month. It's like, what are we doing right now? What are we doing right now that 20 years from now we'll say we did?
Just like we say Black history is 365. So just because we switched the calendar to April does not mean that we stop celebrating women. Just like this calendar switched to March does not mean we stop celebrating Black people. We should celebrate all year round and not just the month that they give us on the calendar. And women's history is every day. Black history is every day. So, we're going to continue celebrating women. I got a book celebrating Black women.
Talk about it.
You know what I'm saying? So, we just got to keep doing that. And love yourself. When you love yourself. Well, here's one thing I want to say to my sisters from a man. And this is spiritual, when you are finally comfortable being alone with God, just you and God, you will make choices out of love and not loneliness. A lot of us have had people in our bed that we share with out of loneliness. But when you're comfortable being alone with just you and God, when you make choices, you will make them out of love and not loneliness. Because, nobody wants to be lonely, but sometimes we settle for some bullshit.
That's right.
We settle for stuff that we know is beneath us. We settle for stuff we know is toxic, but at least your bed's not empty. That's not the barometer for my health anymore.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, say, don't get me wrong. I'm still a healthy male. I don't like
everything works.
Yeah, I don't like my bed to be empty, but I'd rather it be empty than for you to be stressing me out, though. Like, right. Like stress, peace of mind is the most important thing. So let's not settle
Yes.
for sister. You are, to my sisters, you are a black queen. You are from a royal priesthood. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be honored, and you deserve to be treated well. But no one, like I always say, black lives can't matter to everybody else till they matter to black women, to black people. Women's rights, women's history, women's lives are not gonna matter to everyone until they matter to all women. Women, your life has to, you have to love yourself. And I'm not speaking to those who do, but there's some that don't. And I see it. I see it. You know, I'm not judging. Hell, I've said from day one, I'm not perfect. I got issues. My issues got issues. Yo, word up. I'm far from a perfect person. I'm a flawed individual. I got my, but you know, I love myself though. And if you don't, that's okay.
It's okay, and you're not gonna get, like, the greatest love is loving yourself. Like, all these relations, how to get a man, 20 days, 30 days, whatever, 90-day fiance, whatever. You're gonna take yourself into that relationship. And who are you? Are you loving yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? Do you know what makes you happy? Do you know your idiosyncrasies? Do you see what other people see when they look at you? Do you even know
What people see when they look at you, right?
what people see when they look at you? Does it match how you see yourself? Why don't you ask your friends? So yeah, so you got to love yourself.
And I just want to say one last thing and then we can end it. And I think this is equally important. Sisters, now this doesn't apply to everybody. If this doesn't apply to you, then don't pay attention. But sisters, I need you to heal yourself before entering into other relationships. You need to allow yourself to heal. When you jump from one bed to another, so when you entangle yourself with someone, when you get involved with someone, you're taking on all of that. You know what I'm saying? And the end of a relationship, especially a marriage, but the end of a real relationship is like more than a death almost. You have to allow yourself to heal. So you can't just take your baggage from the last relationship and jump right in bed with the next person and you have not healed. You're taking that into the next relationship. And that's not fair to you, and that's not fair to that other individual. So allow yourself to heal. Going back to that, get comfortable being alone with just you and God.
Yeah.
So when you make choices, it will be out of love and not of loneliness. And brothers, you need to let yourself heal too. But right now we were talking about the women. So, I'm saying this to my sisters. Allow yourself to heal, my sisters. Understand you deserve better, and when you know better, you do better, and when you love yourself, you feel better, you demand better. And if we're all made in the image of God, God is love. If we don't love ourselves, how we're supposed to be in the image of God? Like, you say you love God, then how you don't love yourself? You're in the image of so all that, peace and blessings to everybody. I hope somebody got something from this conversation. I hope I added something to this conversation. Um, I hope that those who watching live and those who will watch, all of that. So I hope you get, and if you got something, which if you like what you see from this show, go back and see the other episodes. I put them on the front page of Black Westchester under the people.
You.
Politics. Go back and watch some of the next shows. And if you like what you see, go run tell that.
Yes.
Go share it with someone else. If you heard something in here that you thought was really good, share that with some other people that you think can benefit or you think they need to hear some of this stuff. That's how we grow.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Organically. So if you like what Tasha's doing, share it. Go
Yeah.
tell everybody. Share it on your social media. You're on YouTube again. Like, subscribe. Subscribe is important so you get the notification next time it's going to be on. You know what I'm saying? But like, leave comments. You know
Thank
what I'm saying?
you.
So the algorithm will pick all of that up. And I see my cousin says, I'm here listening, and amen, speak cousin. And she said, healing from a marriage, in my case, being a widow, it took time to heal, like over 8 years. Take time to heal however long it is. Yeah, don't never let nobody tell you how long
My
to heal
condolences.
or how long to mourn. Don't let
Right.
anybody mourns differently. So,
That's
you
right.
know, what works for your sister might not work for you.
Right.
What works in your sister's marriage or relationship might not work for you and the guy that you in a relationship.
Yeah.
And don't let your friends that ain't got no husband and no boyfriend tell you what they would do in what you should do in your marriage. No, don't let them do it. They ain't got no husband. They're not married. Don't let them. I hear a lot of. I tell Damon I will never be his unmarried friend telling him what he'll ask my opinion, and I tell him what I have done in those situations, and but I'm never gonna be like, yo, dude, you shouldn't take that. I'm not gonna tell my married friend what he should do in his marriage. I'm not gonna be that dude. I'm not. So we have to stop getting advice from our unmarried people that are not in committed relationships, long distance, successful, healthy relationships. We need to stop taking advice and listening to that. Some of those people, some of that toxicity then comes into your relationship, and and that goes
Like, share, and subscribe.
right. That's not just for women. That's for guys.
And follow us on Instagram at Professor T. Young and at Mr. AJ Woodson.
Yes.
And join us. Tell your friends. We're going to be giving away tax information. It is tax time. So tune in for the next one. And just peace and love. And thank you to everybody. And happy Women's History Month.
Yes. Women's History 365.
365.
Listen to your inner voice. Thank you, Professor.
Yes. Listen to your inner voice. AJ, I love you.
Love you too. And I'm out.
Okay, let's see.
Are you ready to transform your life from the inside out? Join Tasha Young on Elevation Nation, your guide to total wellness and personal evolution. You are about to discover powerful strategies for healing across 7 essential dimensions: physical vitality, emotional balance, mental clarity, financial freedom, social connection, sexual wellness, and intellectual growth. This is more than self-help. It's self-elevation. Watch Elevation Nation with Tasha Young, exclusively on Black Westchester Magazine, the news from the Black point of view. Your journey to wholeness starts now.